This is an interesting question involving composite and inverse functions. It's not from the Edexcel IGCSE, but they could put something like this into the exam if they really wanted to push the boundaries a little bit and push your understanding. Looking at it, we're given two functions, f of x and g of x, and they want us to find the solution to this expression here when we have g to the minus 1 of f of x, and that whole thing equals 11. So I'm going to start by just looking at g of x and try and come up with the inverse function for that. And if you remember how to do inverse functions, we can consider g of x as just being y equals to something. So y equals, in this case, x plus 5. And to find the inverse function, we can change the letters y and x around. So I'm going to have x equals y plus 5, and then rearrange that function so I have y equals. So here I can just take 5 away from both sides, so y equals x minus 5. So that would be my inverse function for g to the minus 1 of x. G to the minus 1 of x would be equal to x minus 5, which should make sense because subtracting 5 is the opposite of adding 5. Okay, so that's my g to the minus 1 of x. And it tells us that g to the minus 1 of, in this case, f of x equals 11. So g to the minus 1 of what equals 11? That's the thinking I'm doing in my head. So let's have a look. That means I have x to the minus 1 is equal to 11. What is my x equal to? Well, clearly then my x is equal to 16. I add 5 onto both sides. So I had here that g to the minus 1 of something is equal to 11. My something must be equal to 16. And my something is f of x. So f of x must equal 16. So if f of x equals 16, I know what f of x is because it is 8 over x. So 8 over x equals 16. Multiply both sides by x, divide both sides by 16. I'm going to get 8 over 16 equals x, and therefore x is equal to 1/2. Now in the EduCAS exam, that was worth 4 marks. I think that's very generous, but it is quite a challenging sort of question. So if you get something like that, that's one approach you can take. You'll pick up marks as you work out the inverse functions, as you do your substitution and solving, and so on. I would take a couple of moments just to reflect on each of those steps, and keep that into the back of your mind just in case something like that does appear in an Edexcel exam.